Welcome back to more Rome 2 multiplayer action. Here we have my Egyptian general. And I'm going to this is a quick battle as you can see, so I'm going to go through my army in slow motion. My main front is 4 thorax swordsmen. They are flanked on either end by a unit of Galatian swordsmen. Same thing down there. I have Royal Peltist as my general unit, my only really elite infantry unit, and 2 units of Sobek cultists. So I have 2 units of Egyptian archers, 2 citizen cav and Egyptian cav. Over here we have 2 camel spearmen and 2 Ptolemaic cav. The Suebi army to my right is commanded by ComradeDrago. Sorry, ComradeDrago. ComradeDrago commanding this army. 4 noble riders. His main line is 4 wolf warriors. He's got a unit of berserkers at either end, and sword masters and woden-ass spears behind. And he's got the named general whose name escapes me for the Suebi, and 3 longbow hunters. I'm gonna go. This battle is very quick, and it's very much bifurcated. It's very much ComradeDrago versus the Seleucids and me versus the Roman. So I will follow Drago's side of the battle first, and I will simply come back and show my side. So Drago and I both kind of have rush builds. We have some skirmishers. He's got these longbow hunters. I've got those 2 Egyptian archers, but the strength of our army is very much in its swords, and he's got a lot of scare units, being Suebi, of course. The wolf warriors and the berserkers are all scare units, and I've got the Sobek cultists that can scare, and I have these camel spearmen that scare cavalry. So we want to get flanks. We want to rout enemy units more so than kill them, and we have very sword-heavy builds. The only spears we have in either of our armies is this 1 unit of woden-ass spears that is Comrade's general. So he's just kind of moving up in formation, and what he's doing here is capturing this kind of high ground. So you see he's securing that because we were worried that this Seleucid player would kind of camp up here. So by holding this ground, he could prevent that guy from coming down and getting me, while I'm over here confronting the Roman army. So the original plan was actually for him to come over and help deal with the Romans, but he gets kind of into this engagement, and as I get engaged with Rome, the Seleucids are also moving up, and it's going to make it very difficult for him to come over and fight Rome. So he's going to end up basically just turning and fighting this Seleucid army. This is kind of an odd Seleucid build. I haven't really seen this before. I'm not sure I like it, but he's got a lot of units of shield bearers, like 4 or 5 of them, and like 2 units of pikes, and a couple of like 4 Syrian heavy archers. So good skirmish component. Infantry's kind of weak. He's got some expensive infantry, but it's just holding infantry, not killing infantry. He does have 4 of these median cav, but he makes kind of the classic mistake and gets all blobbed up here. That was an uphill charge against a very good noble rider unit. These guys are taking quite a beating from missiles, but they'll eventually start to even that fight out. They took a beating on the charge, and these pikemen aren't helping things out, but they're not really even in the pike phalanx or anything. So in any case, the woden-ass spears are going to join in that fight and help turn that. Meanwhile, the Suebi swords, these wolf warriors, are just engaging the shield bearers all the way down the line, and this is not a bad fight for them. Now this unit of pikes, he's just avoiding it. With only 1 unit of pikes, it's not enough to really screen all these missiles out. This 1 unit of berserkers is looking like it's about to get caught on there, but he sees it and turns them over into these shield bearers instead. Meanwhile, the edge of this pike unit sort of caught up, but these shield bearers are just going to get overwhelmed. It's got them in square to try to hold out, I guess, but they're not really going to be able to hold against sword masters and wolf warriors. You know, that's really about all there is to it. What he has to do is do damage with the skirmishers, which they probably are doing a fair bit of damage, actually. to the fairly poorly armored Suebi units. And he also needed his cavalry to be effective, and as you can see, it was not. Because Patrick did the right... Patrick. I keep calling you Patrick. Sorry, Drago. Drago... I've played too many 2v2s with Patrick lately or something. So in any case, Drago was able to get the Noble Riders into a partial envelopment and just route out all these median cavalry. So you see a lot of units with a fair bit of men left. Look, 54 men in that one, routing off the field. And now the line is just being beaten. The hoplites are just being outmatched by the melee units that are fighting them. And with this line gone, he's just able to march right on into the skirmishers. Especially the cavalry are going to be effective at running them down and preventing them from getting away. And the last pocket of resistance is going to end up being this unit of shield bearers. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pop over to my side of the battle. You see I've actually already won my side. But I'm going to just go ahead and reload this replay and show you my end of things. Alright, so picking up here where we started our advance. Here's my army. Of course, there's Drago moving up to secure the hill. And the Roman out here is kind of maneuvering back and forth, looking for a good spot to fight me. He might have been best off just running over to join with the Seleucid player. But I think he just saw me and figured he was going to just take me head to head. He does have some good frontline troops. He's got 5 or 6 of these armored legionnaires. Yeah, it looks like 5 of them. Plus this 1 unit of Praetorian Guard. It's a very, very powerful infantry corps. Easily a match for mine, even though I have more units, because these guys will one-on-one just devastate my thorax swords. He does have a significant skirmish advantage on me too, in the form of these 4 auxiliary archers. He only has 2 auxiliary cavalry though, so I have a significant cavalry advantage. And what he's going to do is he's going to take his other unit and join it with this auxiliary cavalry and try to get some cavalry strength on one flank. And I believe he's actually kind of left his general behind up there. But that's okay, I really won't be able to get to him in any case. So what he really wants to do, or what he should be trying to do, is maximize his skirmish advantage on me. Because having more units, his units are better, but I can actually get the flank, and you see that's exactly what I'm maneuvering for. These Ptolemaic cav split off the rest of the cavalry force. I actually want to pause here, go to slow motion for just a second. These Ptolemaic have split off the main cavalry force, came around between mine and Drago's army, and they're just going to go right to the back behind his lines, prepare to get a rear attack on these guys. Meanwhile, this group of the Royal Peltists and the 2 Sobek cultists are also just going to bypass the Roman line and try to get a flank on, while the main line of the Thorax swords and the Galatian swordsmen is just going to go right in and pin these armored legionnaires in place, and missile fire be damned. The Egyptian archers, I've just got them on flaming shot. Their sole purpose is to get a morale penalty on these infantry. And meanwhile, the cavalry engagement has started over here, and I've brought the, you see the horses are frightened thanks to the presence of my camel spearmen, which is exactly what they're there for. So even though these units don't have great stats, they're going to overwhelm these auxiliary cavalry, and I'm going to bring this one kind of around and pin these guys. You see, I already have a partial envelopment here. So they're going to quickly start to suffer morale effects. Now my Galatian swordsmen here are just absolutely get trounced by these armored legionnaires, which I more or less expect. They're not a formation attack unit like the Thorax swords. I had hoped to use them for flanking. Obviously it did not work out in this case. So now the Thorax swords are left to bear the brunt of this. You see, I got them all and used the whip just to try to do as much as I can. Of course, these armored legionnaires have done the same thing. But meanwhile, already these armored legionnaires on the flank have broken thanks to a rear attack from the Ptolemaic cav, which has kind of been brunted by the Praetorian Guard. But now the Sobek cultists and my Royal Peltist are free to just push around this flank. So, see, these guys are getting a morale effects. Some of the enemies broken. Look, Praetorian Guard routed, 155 men left. They were outflanked. There was a scare unit nearby, and nearby friends were routing. Just cascading morale effects. So you're just going to see this continue down the line, and especially as my cavalry on this flank, having won that fight, come around and slap into the back of this last unit of armored legionnaires. So with the scare units in the right place, I was able basically to roll up the whole line. Look at this, 125 out of 160 routing, 80 out of 160 routing there. Very quickly able to rout an awful lot of Roman units just by getting good position on them. And this Legatus unit, of course, is going to be the last holdout of the Roman army. It comes in to try to stop my Ptolemaic cav from going to the aid of Comrade Drago's army. But it's not really going to be able to do much of anything. And of course, as I'm running over, this fight is just wrapping up as we were just talking about. So we can just go ahead and fast forward this to the end. This is pretty much the action. We already kind of saw what's going to happen here. And there we go. Alright. So it says close victory. Not sure what battle they were watching. It was pretty decisive from where I was sitting. So you see, my army did what I wanted it to do. Actually, some of these thorax swords did a surprising number of kills. This was probably the unit on the strong side that was on the side that was flanking, and they were able to also then flank, get into skirmishers. Probably how they did so much damage. But most of the thorax swords just did their job. They just held the line, got a decent number of kills. This one must have been the one that was on my left flank fighting against 2 units of armored legionnaires. But they held long enough, thanks to their armor and good melee defense. The Galatians didn't get their opportunity to flank. And the Egyptian archers didn't do any damage, but they did do that morale effect, which was fairly key to my strategy. And of course, the Ptolemaic cav were just racking it up in the process of getting all those rear charges and charging a bunch of skirmishers and things. All the cavalry actually did quite well. The camel spearmen didn't get a lot of kills, but they didn't lose many guys either, as they were able to get some kills on those horses and contribute a fear effect to make sure they routed. So me and Drago had a similar number of kills. I lost a few more men, though. I deployed more men, so that's not terribly surprising. And really about half my losses came out of those 2 units. So in Drago's army, the Wolf Warriors, wow, 191 on that one, yeah. So the Wolf Warriors and Berserkers did quite well. The Woden Spears actually got into that cavalry fight, did quite a bit of damage too. And a couple units of the cavalry did pretty well also. So he was pretty solid across the board, with the exception of this unit. That must have been the first cavalry unit charged by all these median cav. But in any case, you see these shield bearers. This is my point about this Seleucid build, is the shield bearers are expensive. They're an elite hoplite unit. I think they're like 1100 or something like that. And they did not pay for themselves against cheaper Wolf Warrior units. Simply not worth it. They weren't even able to hold long enough for the missiles to do enough damage. Because that's really what you would have needed, is these guys to hold while the missiles did damage. So if all you want is a holding force, forget the shield bearers. You might as well just take regular hoplites, or even better, pikes or something, with a few hoplites or swords to protect their flanks. So the Seleucid player, not a lot of success, and more or less the same story with the Roman player. You see, look at this. This is a armored legionary unit. It was still very much intact, completely routed. This Praetorian Guard, you saw, was nearly a full unit when it routed, thanks to all the various effects going on. And most of these casualties were taken after it was fleeing. The cavalry kept hitting it in their attempts to get out the archers, who had some decent damage considering how fast the fight was. But of course, really should have gotten a lot more had he been able to bring his army to bear the way he no doubt intended. So in any case, thanks to ComradeDrago for a good 2v2 once again, and a good game to our opponents Yo Soy El Hombre and Fallen Angel. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below the video, comment, subscribe, and so forth, and have a good day.